And we are live. Thanks so much, folks, for joining me here this afternoon. Gonna get to a couple of things today. RFK Jr., he apologizes to Donald Trump here after this phone call was leaked. So I wanted to talk about the leaked phone call, the contents within it. Donald Trump told independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy that, quote, "we're gonna win." And then, the media, of course, they're out there saying that Donald Trump pushed conspiracy theories about the vaccines, and they appeared to be discussing Kennedy's future in the race in a private phone call. So Kennedy, he leaked this, so he actually came out and apologized for this leak. And in the phone call, first, I just want to play the phone call for you. I want to play the phone call because I think that that's important. And then I'm going to talk about Kennedy's response to the leak and how they leaked it and why I believe they leaked it. So here we go. Let's take a listen to the phone call.
I agree with you, man. Something's wrong with that whole system. Yeah. And, and it's a doctor's issue. Remember I said I want to do small doses. Small doses. When you feed a baby, Bobby, a vaccination that has like 38 different vaccines, and it looks like it's meant for a horse, not a 10-pound or 20-pound baby. It looks like you should be giving a horse this. And do you ever see the size of it, right? It's just massive. And then you see the baby all of a sudden starting to change radically. I've seen it too many times. And then you hear that it doesn't have an impact, right? But you and I talked about that a long time ago. And anyway, I would love you to do something. And I think it would be so good for you and so big for you. And we're going to win. We're going to win. We're way ahead of the guy. And, he's interesting. He was very nice, actually. He called me. And he said, how did you choose to move to the right? Because, so I guess that people say, if I was looking straight on, right? He said, I said, I was just showing a chart. I didn't have to tell him the chart was on all the people pouring into our country, right? But I just turned my head to show the chart. And something wrapped me. It felt like a giant, like the world's largest mosquito. And it was a bullet going right. What do they call that? An AR-15 or something? That was a big gun. Those are pretty tough guns, right?
Okay, so that was Robert F. Kennedy and the phone call. So I've got it out of The Guardian here. Kennedy is quoted, "When President Donald Trump called me, I was taping with an in-house videographer. I should have ordered the videographer to stop recording immediately. I was mortified that this was posted. I apologize to the president." So apparently this call was made before Trump and Kennedy met later on Monday. So this was made on Monday, but it was before them actually meeting, this phone call. There was a post from Kennedy's son. He posted the video and audio between the two men. And of course, the mainstream, they're saying that Donald Trump is making bizarre remarks about the vaccines and babies. No, they're not really bizarre. I mean, if you have a baby, and you are pumping it full of vaccines. And I am not anti-vax. I don't think RFK Jr. is really anti-vax. I think that he has great concern about the current state of big pharma in our country when it comes to over vaccinations. And Donald Trump was just commenting. It was a casual phone call where he was talking about, you should see some of these vaccines. Some of these vaccines, they've got all kinds of things in there, and you should see the needle. This thing is big, and it looks like we should be vaccinating a horse with these needles, very Trump-esque, where he's like, it's huge, folks, it's huge, very huge, this vaccine. I don't know if I'd give it to a 20-pound baby, but I'd give it to a horse. Yes, I would, folks. Very Trump-esque, where he's talking about these vaccines and the stuff that's in them, and that's very much a common sentiment. If you talk to women who have children and take them to the doctor, of course they're concerned about this big needle going into their kid's arm, and there being 38 different things it's vaccinating against. Okay, they're like mega vaccines, and RFK Jr. has expressed, and he has a great book out there, concern about the vaccination world, big pharma, and them using children as pretty much guinea pigs and as science experiments in the medicine world and in the medication world. I don't think I really need to harp on this so much, but I don't know why it was leaked. Why was it even recorded? Great. And I have no idea why it was recorded and leaked. Kennedy's son posted it. Now RFK Jr. himself had apologized for that leak. The only thing that I could imagine is that the Kennedy team and Kennedy's son thought it would be good for the independent presidential candidate RFK Jr. Because then the media grabs onto this and says that he made bizarre remarks about vaccines and babies. Now that conversation was taken out of context, but the little context we had suggests to me that he was, just talking off the cuff casually about, the vaccines these days. It sounded like two old men having a conversation about the vaccines and about, society and big pharma. It just sounded like two old men having a conversation. Okay, so he then moves on, Donald Trump, in this phone call and starts talking a little bit about the assassination. Now, here's where things get a little weird, and I want to hear your comments and what you think about it. Perhaps it's just two old men being kind of candid with each other. Joe Biden, now this is from Trump's perspective. In the phone call here, Trump says that Joe Biden said to him, "Hey, how'd you know to move your head like that?" or something to that effect. How'd you know to move your head like that? Now, when I first heard that, folks, I thought to myself, what? Joe Biden is asking Donald Trump why he moved his head? Do I need to remind us that Joe Biden is in charge of the Secret Service? It's he appointed the director of the Secret Service, by the way. And the DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, who's run by Mayorkas, his little lapdog, Joe Biden's lapdog, runs the Secret Service through that agency. Now, I'm not saying this. I honestly, when I listened to this the first time, I was like, okay, maybe they're just being kind of candid and blunt, and Donald Trump is kind of recalling the events as he sees it. Because let's take a listen one more time. And I'm going to play that part, hopefully, about where Joe Biden starts to talk, or where he starts to recall his phone call with Joe Biden about the assassination attempt. So let's take a listen here.
Have an impact, right? But you and I talked about that a long time ago. And anyway, I would love you to just, and I think it would be so good for you and so big for you. And we're going to win. We're going to win. We're way ahead of the guy. And
okay, here's the part.
It was very nice, actually. He called me, and he said, how did you choose to move to the right? So I guess that's, people say, if I was looking straight up, he said, I said, I was just showing a chart. I didn't have to tell him the chart.
So Donald Trump, he says that Joe Biden asked him, how did you choose to move to the right? Now, was that Joe Biden fishing to see if Donald Trump was told to move his head because he wasn't supposed to move his head? I don't know, folks. I know that's crazy talk. Perhaps it's just Donald Trump being an old man talking to another old man about a conversation he had with another or a different old man, Joe Biden. A lot of times when you're older, the way you say, how did I remember watching football with my grandparents where they're like, how do they move like that? How do they grab the ball like that? And I could imagine Joe Biden saying, so how'd you move your head like that? How'd you know to move your head like that? And just, kind of like old man-esque. But I don't know. I found that kind of odd that he phrased it that way. Trump is recalling this conversation with Joe Biden and the assassination attempt. I also thought it was hilarious. I thought it was a large mosquito, a very large mosquito. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in. I so do appreciate it. You can subscribe to the show today. That's Conservative Cat. Just go ahead, hit that subscribe button today. is brought to you by Patriot Pump pre-workout. I love Patriot Pump. This is a Christian-owned, conservative-owned pre-workout company, and I love it. The ingredients, they're not artificial. There's no artificial flavorings, and what I really love about it, it's like the equivalent to a couple cups of coffee. Now, if you were to go to the store and get yourself a pre-workout, you have to be careful because the caffeine intake is absolutely off the charts. A lot of the times you're looking at 300 milligrams of caffeine, which is enough to, energize a horse. This has a 150, so this is about a couple cups of coffee. And there's so many other cool things in here. This black pepper extract keeps you focused. Joe Biden needs some focus. He could probably use some of this. And this company believes that your physical health and your mental health and your spiritual health are all very important. And this is a way to help you focus on your mental health, your spiritual health, and your physical health. So yeah, go out there, get yourself some pre-workout, grab a workout this afternoon if you can. Look, if a 78-year-old man can get shot in the ear, fall to his knees, get back up, and then pump his fist into the air with blood streaming down his face, and then get up and go play golf the next morning, I think you can go work out today, right? So that is Patriot Pump. The link is in the description if you want to buy yours today. But this video is brought to you by the folks over at Patriot Pump. So I do want to chat a little bit about Trump. Everybody thinks that he's a racist. Most people hate Trump because they think he's a racist. The only problem with that is that policy-wise, Trump is one of the blackest presidents that ever existed in the history of black and white presidents. His administration has just done more for the black community than Obama, than Sleepy Joe combined. I mean, he has actually done things for the black community. So that's kind of where I wanted to start today. Talking about this reaction from a CNN political analyst. They're an analyst on CNN, and they're big mad about Amber Rose's speech at the RNC convention. So Van Jones is the CNN reporter, political analyst who's crying again because he thinks Amber Rose's speech at the RNC convention is bad news for Democrats, which it is. So I'm going to play this for you here coming up, and I want you to take a listen to this. This is bold. This is brave. This is beautiful. This is badass. I loved Amber Rose's speech. I don't even know really who she is, but like I said, she gave a speech. And this commentator, Van Jones on CNN, warned that TV personality and model Amber Rose, that her address at the Republican National Convention in support of former President Donald Trump was the most dangerous speech for the Democrat Party. So I wanted to play this. Here we go. Let's take a listen.
My entire family is racially diverse, and I believe the left-wing propaganda that Donald Trump was a racist. My father said, "No, he's not, Amber. What are you talking about?" And when I insisted, he said, "Prove it." So to prove my father wrong, I did my research and looked into all things Donald Trump. People have to do their research. I watched all the rallies, and I started meeting so many of you, his red hat wearing supporters. I realized Donald Trump and his supporters don't care if you're black, white, gay, or straight. It's all love. And that's when it hit me. These are my people. This is where I belong. So I let go of my fear of judgment, of being misunderstood, of getting attacked by the left, and I put the red hat on too. Thank you. Love you too. I never felt more free and more love for my country than I do now. I want to thank my father, who's in the audience tonight, for opening my eyes. He served over 20 years in the U.S. military. Thank you for your service, Dad.
All right. So I wanted to share a little bit of that. You get the sentiment behind it. And as the saying goes, make America great again. America is not a race. It's an idea. It's a place. And no matter what the left claims, being pro-American is not racist, and it benefits all people. Being pro-America benefits all people. But the left, they rely on identity politics, you see. It is their main political tool, which is why they slander Trump and his supporters, calling them fascist, racist, Nazis, genocidal maniacs, and as being anti-everything, anti-Black, anti-woman, anti-trans, right? They say that these Trump supporters are this, and they slander Trump and Trump supporters because they rely on identity politics. They don't have anything else going for them. So the media wants people to vote solely on identity because they don't have policies or anything substantial working in their favor, which is why Dems based their entire 2022 primary campaigns on abortion nationwide. That's why Kamala Harris, because the Kamala Harris and Joe Biden campaign, the Biden-Harris campaign, they're only polling higher with women who are single and as unmarried, and that's the only group that they're polling higher with. But when a famous black feminist says it's all lies, which this Amber Rose woman is a famous black feminist, and she says this is all lies, that doesn't look good for the people promoting those lies, and that would be the media. So Van Jones, he was like, oh boy, this is going to be bad for the Democrats. Jones said, that is a young woman of color. She's describing the experience a lot of people have, feeling that maybe if you're around too many liberals, you might get criticized too much, or you might not be able to speak your mind. She spoke it very well and really well. So Van Jones, he goes on CNN, he's on this panel. And he says, referring to the rest of the CNN panel, Van Jones, he says, she's way more famous than any of us up here. I'm going to tell you that, way more famous. And so to the extent these guys are trying to bust up our coalition, that was a bunker buster right there. That's what he says on CNN. Van Jones does. So like I said, they're freaking out because this is crumbling all around them. These lies that Trump is racist and he's anti-woman, because here we have a woman of color. She's a black young woman and she's a feminist and she's famous. She comes out and she says all of it's lies. And she said that, I'm in liberal circles and I can't speak my own mind. So I wanted to hit that really quickly today. Main point of today was the leaked phone call, RFK Jr. Don't know why they leaked it. I could only imagine it's because they thought it was going to make Trump look crazy because he talked about the vaccines, and then, maybe make him look like he's a political operative where he's trying to get a shady deal to get Robert Kennedy to endorse him, which just isn't true. I mean, if you listen to the phone call, even out of context, you can tell that Trump was just, one, asking for his endorsement, which isn't rare or weird. And two, he was just commenting on how vaccines have gotten out of hand in the last decade or so, where you're getting vaccinated. If you take your kid to the doctor, they're getting vaccinated with 38 different vaccines all wrapped up into one. And Trump was saying, I don't know if I'd vaccinate my baby with that. Maybe a horse. He said something to that effect. So the recording was posted online, Bobby Kennedy III, with the message that said, quote, I'm a firm believer that these sorts of conversation should be made public. Here's Trump giving his real opinion to my dad about vaccinating kids. This was the day after the assassination attempt. So this was his son who posted it. Robert Kennedy came out and said, "Hey, I apologize. That was never supposed to be published. I'm mortified that it was posted. I should have ordered the videographer stop recording. And I apologize to the president." This is not going to hurt Trump. If anything, it just makes him look cooler. Here's the headline from The Guardian, and this is the purpose of posting it. Independent candidate's son post video online in which Republican rambles about vaccine, horses, and babies. Okay, so if you listened to the phone call, you would say, oh yeah, this makes a whole lot of sense. It's a 1-minute clip of that phone call and taken out of context. So I don't know if his son was trying to help him or what, but I don't know. It doesn't hurt either candidate. If anything, it just makes me want RFK Jr. to endorse Donald Trump even more. I think that he should, because Trump just leveled with him and it was honest, candid, said, hey, this is what happened. Joe Biden said this. I think you should come out and endorse me. We're pulling far, far ahead. And I think it would be good for you to endorse me. So it was a very honest conversation. And I mean, I'm glad it was posted because it really just shows more of Trump's character. And I think will do wonders for his campaign. Patriot Pump, go buy it today. You guys have a great rest of your day. Link is in the description. And we'll catch you tomorrow for the Daily Show.